welcome to another brand new edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and of course we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new episode. Remember, every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is when new episodes are going up, but I'm always dropping extra content on all my horror channels all throughout the week, and the best way to stay on top of all of that is to get subscribed to my Linktree. And you can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my Linktree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page you can catch my horror gaming, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can get 20% off anything in the Fangoria shop, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Hit that subscribe button because the more followers, the more viewers, the more subscriptions I get, the more content I can put out for all of you. So hit that subscribe button. What are we talking about here tonight though? Folks, we are jumping right back into year 3 of the After Dark Horrorfest Film Festival. We are winding things down, folks. At this point, we have taken a look at 5 of the 8 films to die for, and tonight we are jumping into number 6, Perkins 14. And folks, this is the one. This is absolutely the one. You know, over the course of the 5 films I've watched in this festival so far, there's been some good ones for sure, but nothing that's really broken out from the pack. Everything has either been like perfectly fine or it's been not too great. And Perkins 14 is the outlier here, at least before seeing films 7 and 8. So I'm so stoked to jump into this with you guys. So let's just go ahead and do it. If you haven't seen the trailers for Perkins 14 before, this tells the story of Officer Dwayne Hopper, who 10 years ago, his son was abducted right out of his house. And on a chance shift down at the local sheriff's station, Dwayne finds out that one of the inmates there at his jail might just be the one responsible for his son's disappearance. But he'll find out that the abduction of his son and these other victims was only the beginning of the madness that Dr. Perkins is bringing to this town. There you go. Now, this is not the first time we've seen a film like this to where we have like a father or a loved one of somebody who was taken or murdered or whatever the case is, and they get a chance to get their hands on the person that's responsible for them losing this loved one in the first place. And Perkins 14 does bring a good grounded cast to it by using Richard Brake as Dr. Perkins, the man who is accused of abducting Sheriff Hopper's son. Now, we don't know that for sure. You got to check out the movie to find that out, to see whether he did it or not. But what I did find so interesting was that the first half of the film really takes the time to get us endured to Hopper and his family. Like, we see Hopper's a very flawed man. He's clearly taken the death of his son very harshly and has not done too well with that in the 10 years since that abduction. I say death, but I mean abduction is really the term that we're going for in this case, but he hasn't taken to it well at all. Clearly his daughter and his wife are suffering on their own, and they're not really getting much out of Hopper to help in their own lives. So the family life of all 3 of the Hoppers is very much strained. And that makes Dwayne Hopper a very interesting character to follow around, because he is very clearly responsible for a lot of the pain that his family is going through, and his refusal to move forward and to kind of try to see what their lives could be like right now. Maybe, you know, break down and have some tears shared with the rest of them, or do something happy and joyful. He's not really doing any of that, just choosing to sit in his agony, sit in his pain, sit in his misery. And what's interesting about that is the fact that we kind of get an idea that over the last 10 years, while Hopper did take the abduction of his son very much to heart, it affected him deeply, how much did Hopper really truly do after his son went missing to track him down? And that's going to be a very big focal point of the film. Now, Richard Brake, who plays Dr. Perkins, our most notable cast member here, who you know from plenty of other horror projects out there, plays a very subdued role compared to what you probably expect from him in a number of the other films that he's done. I think that Richard Brake a lot of times is played to the strengths of him being very good at just going over the top and carrying these creepy vibes out. And so a lot of the times he's not really playing somebody that has a handle on like their own emotions or the way that they exert themselves to other people either. And so this was very, very much unexpected to see Richard Brake in a quieter, like muted role for him compared to a lot of the other stuff that we've seen him in. And, you know, I talked a lot about how this year at the After Dark Film Festival really started bringing in a lot more of the recognizable star power across the films. And that seemed to really be the, not guiding force, but the catch of the festival this year. And no, this is not Richard Brake's first film by any means. Richard Brake has been around since the mid-90s. But what I will say, though, is that this was kind of one of his bigger roles that he had. Because prior to that, yeah, he appeared in films like Cold Mountain and Doom and Batman Begins, and of course we recognize him in that. But it was around this time to where he really started popping up in like a million different things, and I think that recognition started like setting in with him. And Richard Brake is a great actor. Now, whether or not this film uses him to those strengths, it's hard to say, because I think the subdued, muted performance that he puts in as Dr. Perkins does work really well, but you can't help but feeling that he wasn't given too much to do, though, outside of this facade that the character is putting on earlier in the film. It's not really his movie. The movie really does focus on Dwayne Hopper and Hopper's family. So Brake is kind of not a cameo. Cameo is not the right word for it, but he's very much just a supporting player in this story. What's crazy about this movie, though, is the fact that it does change up genres halfway through. You know, it's very From Dusk Till Dawn-like in the way to where we go to the sheriff's station and we think this is going to be a revenge thriller. Hopper thinks that he's got the guy that abducted his son. He knows he's going to carry out some stuff, some vengeance with this man to get back for all these years that he's lost with his son. And he's not following things by the books, which is another hurdle that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But he's not following things by the books. He doesn't care at this point because he's found the guy who he thinks has kidnapped his son, and he's going to figure it out and prove it no matter what it takes. And Hopper really going like under the books here, doing a number of illegal things, especially in 2024, seeing it comes off really, really grimy, because you can't help but think it's like, well, if this is the guy that abducted your son, and you do manage to prove that, and all of you survive the night and make it to the next day at that point, you're probably going to jail too for all the illegal like methods that you took to really prove this information. Like, this is not like an open and shut case. So it's hard to really flesh that out of your mind, but that's going to be the least of Hopper's problems when you see how this movie transforms into something completely different, because the revenge thriller element is only one side to this tale. About halfway through, the movie gets turned on its head and we get something completely different than what the first half of the film set us up to expect. And Lord knows, if you pulled a million ideas out of your hat, this would have not been one that I would have thought was coming in the least bit. And it's crazy to me, because I tried to watch this movie multiple times over the past week, like super late at night, and I must have been starting a completely different film, because none of what I saw seemed recognizable, and even the premise of it there, which I swear I read the premise as somebody was creating this army of mutants to protect themselves from somebody who's coming to kill them. That is not the plot for this. I don't know what the hell I was looking at, but what I will say, though, is that the second half of this film absolutely turns into a 28 days, weeks, and now years later kind of zombie film. And that is the only way I could put that, is that it basically morphs into a zombie film in the second half of the movie, and an insane one at that as well too. And it's a really, really good and effective one, which makes it such an enjoyable watch. The fact that the reasoning behind everything that's going on kind of makes a little bit of sense, it's over the top, but it fits with like the genre. It fits with the tone that the movie is trying to set up, honestly. So it is out of left field, but it ends up being incredibly enjoyable. I think honestly, the only downer to this film is the fact that Hopper himself is just such a flawed character that it's really hard to back some of the choices that he makes, because some of the choices he makes in this film directly leads to the death of numerous people in it. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, can we really overlook this at this point? Because the fact that multiple people are now dead directly because of Hopper's actions, it's hard to really look past that and ignore these choices that he's making. Either way, though, this is actually a really, really fun zombie film, honestly, and one that from the After Dark Horrorfest, I wasn't expecting to actually turn up, and kind of one of my best of lists there. Like, this is one that I think I'm going to end up revisiting numerous times. And shout out to my friend on Twitter, Prince Harlequin, because dude, I saw you post about this like a week or two ago, and I don't think you realized I was going through year 3 of the After Dark Horrorfest, and seeing that I was like, you got that on your best of list. Like, man, this movie's gonna suck. It's gonna suck, man, because the rest of these films have been like so mediocre. They've been decent at best, you know? Not this one. This is fire, y'all. You should absolutely check out Perkins 14 if you get the chance to, because you get two effective, a revenge thriller and a zombie movie put into one, and the results are so good. So go check that one out. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. We only got 2 films left in the After Dark Horror Fest, and I'm going to be looking at some movies from the Chattanooga Film Festival here coming up soon as well. So that's the reason why we're jumping on all this film festival goodness. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, folks. That's it for us tonight. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.
Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022, and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription, or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/axdew. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/axdew, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or Twaza. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.